Hello again. We're in Dorothy Sayers, Creed or Chaos, page 37. In this chapter, Dorothy has been addressing the issue of dogma. Is dogma essential? And she has made the case forcefully that dogma is not only essential to Christianity, but it's essential to our dialogue, even among Christians and with the people outside the Christian community. If you don't understand your Christian doctrine, you don't understand how to communicate the faith. So now she wants to get more specific about this contribution that some people are making to social chaos by their failure to comprehend the faith they espouse. So now she's going to get down to specifics. Now, may I now mention some of the dogmas concerning which I find there is most ignorance and misunderstanding, and about which I believe the modern world most urgently needs to be told. Out of a very considerable number, I have selected 7 as being what I may call key positions, namely God, man, sin, judgment, matter, work, and society. They are, of course, all closely bound together. Christian doctrine is not a set of rules, but one vast interlocking rational structure. But there are particular aspects of these 7 subjects which seem to me to need special emphasis at the moment. 1. God. At the risk of appearing quite insolently obvious, I shall say that if the Church is to make any impression on the modern mind, she will have to preach Christ and the cross. Of late years, the Church has not succeeded very well in preaching Christ. She has preached Jesus, which is not quite the same thing. I find that the ordinary man simply does not grasp at all the idea that Jesus Christ and God the Creator are held to be literally the same person. They believe Catholic doctrine to be that God the Father made the world and that Jesus Christ redeemed mankind, and that these 2 characters are quite separate personalities. The phrasing of the Nicene Creed is here a little unfortunate. It is easy to read it as being of one substance with the Father, by whom all things were made. The Church Catechism, again rather unfortunately, emphasizes the distinction: God the Father, who hath made me and all the world, God the Son, who hath redeemed me and all mankind. The distinction of the persons within the unity of the substance is philosophically quite proper and familiar enough to any creative artist. But the majority of people are not creative artists, and they have it very firmly fixed in their heads that the person who bore the sin of the world was not the eternal creative life of the world, but an entirely different person, who was in fact the victim of God the Creator. It is dangerous to emphasize one aspect of a doctrine at the expense of the other. But at this present moment, the danger that anybody will confound the persons is so remote as to be negligible. What everybody does is to divide the substance, with the result that the whole Jesus history becomes an unmeaning anecdote of the brutality of God to man. It is only with the confident assertion of the creative divinity of the Son that the doctrine of the Incarnation becomes a real revelation of the structure of the world. And here Christianity has its enormous advantage over every other religion in the world. It is the only religion which gives value to evil and suffering. It affirms, not like Christian Science, that evil has no real existence, nor yet, like Buddhism, that good consists in a refusal to experience evil, but that perfection is attained through the active and positive effort to wrench a real good out of a real evil. I will not now go into the very difficult question of the nature of evil and the reality of not being, though the modern physicists seem to be giving us a very valuable lead about that particular philosophic dilemma. But it seems to me most important that, in face of present world conditions, the doctrines of the reality of evil and the value of suffering should be kept in the very front line of Christian affirmation. I mean, it is not enough to say that religion produces virtues and personal consolations side by side with the very obvious evils and pains that afflict mankind, but that God is alive and at work within the evil and the suffering, perpetually transforming them by the positive energy which he had with the Father before the world was made. I want to link videos we've shot on the progressive revelation of God and the nature of God, the attributes of God in the Old Testament. So the set we prepared especially for Jehovah's Witnesses and the revelation of the divine names in the Old Testament. And related to that, another series on the 66 books that Jehovah's Witnesses should not read if they want to remain Jehovah's Witnesses. And in that I tell the story of how it was just the first few chapters of Genesis that rescued me from the theology of Jehovah's Witnesses and gave me a whole new set of beliefs back around 32 years ago.